Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. There is something powerful about a woman who lives alone. See, society has this way of making women feel like they need somebody at all times. But let me tell you this. A woman who lives alone is a woman who knows her worth, understands her strength, and owns her peace. When a woman lives alone, she gets to know herself in ways most people never do. Without the noise of others constantly shaping her thoughts, she has the opportunity to sit with her own feelings, her own ambitions, and her own truth. She learns what truly makes her happy, what triggers her emotions, and what brings her peace. Instead of relying on external validation, she finds confidence in her own voice. Spending time alone allows her to build a strong relationship with herself. She discovers her personal tastes without compromise, what music she loves, what food she enjoys, and what hobbies bring her fulfillment. She no longer watches movies she doesn't like just to please someone else, and she doesn't force conversations that drain her energy. Instead, she prioritizes her well-being, making choices that genuinely align with her desires. Through solitude, she develops emotional intelligence. She learns how to handle challenges without depending on others to rescue her. She becomes her own problem solver, her own cheerleader, and her own source of comfort. When something goes wrong, she doesn't break, she adapts. She figures things out not because she has to, but because she's capable. Boundaries become a priority. She realizes what she will and won't tolerate in her life. She understands that her time and energy are valuable, and she no longer gives them away freely to people who don't appreciate them. She no longer allows toxic relationships or friendships that drain her spirit. Instead, she surrounds herself with people who respect her space, her dreams, and her peace. This deep self-awareness also makes her more selective about the people she allows into her life. When she does decide to spend time with others, it's because she genuinely wants to, not because she's afraid of being alone. She doesn't settle for half-hearted love or friendships built on convenience. She chooses meaningful connections that add value to her life. She also embraces her independence. She learns how to fix things around the house, how to manage her finances, and how to handle life's everyday responsibilities without waiting for someone else to take the lead. She becomes resourceful and confident in her abilities. Most importantly, she learns to love herself unconditionally. She stops looking for happiness in others and starts creating it within herself. She understands that her worth is not defined by a relationship status or by society's expectations. She realizes that being alone is not the same as being lonely. It's a choice, a lifestyle, and an opportunity for growth. When a woman lives alone, she gains the power to control her environment, shaping it exactly how she wants. She decides the energy that enters her space, the kind of atmosphere she maintains, and the level of peace she cultivates. There is no need to adjust her mood or energy to accommodate someone else's needs. She creates a space that feels like home in the truest sense, free from unnecessary drama, tension, or external negativity. Without the daily stress of dealing with conflicting personalities in her household, she experiences a different level of mental clarity. Her home becomes her sanctuary, a place where she can retreat from the world and recharge. She wakes up to quiet, starts her day on her terms, and ends it in peace. She sets her own routines, whether it's morning meditation, an evening cup of tea, or a simple moment of silence after a long day. The absence of constant noise allows her to focus on herself. She listens to her thoughts, understands her emotions, and processes life at her own pace. She doesn't have to engage in unnecessary conversations or arguments that disrupt her mental well-being. If she wants stillness, she embraces it. If she wants excitement, she creates it. There is no one else dictating what her day should look like. Having full control over her space also means she can eliminate toxic influences without hesitation. If someone brings negativity, she has the power to distance herself without guilt. She no longer has to entertain energy-draining relationships out of obligation. She protects her mental and emotional well-being by ensuring that her home is filled only with things and people that bring her joy. She learns the importance of self-care. She takes the time to listen to what her body and mind need without external pressure. If she wants to take a break, she does. If she needs to rest, she doesn't feel guilty about it. She becomes more in tune with her own well-being because there is no one else influencing her decisions. Her peace is non-negotiable, and she starts recognizing the signs of people or situations that threaten it. She sets boundaries without hesitation, understanding that peace is something she must actively protect. She chooses her battles wisely, refusing to waste energy on unnecessary conflicts. She understands that not every issue requires a reaction, and not every opinion deserves her attention. With this level of control, she also becomes more selective about who she allows into her world. She doesn't feel pressured to keep up appearances or entertain company that doesn't align with her values. When she invites someone into a space, it is because she genuinely wants to, not because she feels obligated. Her home, her peace, and her energy become sacred to her. She thrives in the stillness, finds strength in solitude, and embraces the beauty of a life where she is fully in control of her surroundings. When a woman lives alone, she quickly learns that success isn't just about achieving external goals, it's also about internal growth and self-sufficiency. She becomes responsible for her own finances, her career decisions, and the day-to-day functioning of her life. The ability to stand on her own 2 feet and build her success from the ground up is empowering and transformative. A woman who lives alone doesn't have the luxury of relying on someone else to pick up the slack. She must take charge of her own destiny. This means managing bills, budgeting, paying rent, fixing things around the house, and making decisions that affect her future. Whether it's figuring out how to navigate her career or learning new skills to improve her life, she understands that she is her own provider, protector, and motivator. Each task, no matter how small, is a step toward becoming more self-reliant, which over time leads to a strong sense of accomplishment. The more she does for herself, the more confident she becomes in her abilities. Each success, no matter how minor, reinforces her belief that she is capable. From organizing her finances to setting and achieving her own career goals, she starts to build an independent life that is fulfilling and rich with opportunity. She realizes that success doesn't look like what society expects. Success is personal, and it's defined by how well she manages her own happiness and fulfillment. She also learns to embrace her failures. Without someone else around to blame or rely on, she takes full responsibility for her mistakes, but she doesn't let them define her. She knows that failure is just a part of the process, a stepping stone toward growth. Every time something doesn't go according to plan, she reflects on it, learns from it, and tries again with more knowledge and resilience. Living alone allows her to build the emotional strength to bounce back from setbacks and take risks without fear of judgment. This autonomy gives her the ability to prioritize her own goals. She knows what she wants out of life and isn't swayed by the opinions of others. Whether it's pursuing a dream job, going back to school, or starting her own business, she has the mental and emotional space to focus on her ambitions without distractions. She becomes a goal setter and a goal getter, navigating her life with a laser focus on what she wants to achieve. Moreover, her independence encourages her to seek out personal development opportunities. She recognizes the importance of constant growth, whether it's through reading, learning new skills, or networking with like-minded individuals. She invests in herself, knowing that the more she grows, the more she can contribute to the world around her. Success is not just about material wealth or status. It's about the richness of her experiences and the growth she achieves along the way. In this journey of self-made success, she learns that there are no shortcuts. It's about putting in the work, staying committed, and continuously striving for improvement. The challenges she faces are just part of her personal evolution. And with every step, she becomes more powerful, more capable, and more confident in her own abilities. When a woman lives alone, she begins to realize just how valuable her time is. She doesn't have the luxury of sharing her time with just anyone. She becomes selective about the people she allows into her life. This newfound awareness doesn't come from a place of arrogance or isolation, but from an understanding that her time and energy are finite, and they must be invested wisely. She recognizes that every minute she spends with someone is a reflection of her values and priorities. One of the first lessons she learns is that her time is her own. No longer does she need to spend it on relationships or activities that drain her energy. or fail to add value to her life. The freedom of living alone allows her to reclaim her time, and she uses it to focus on things that truly matter. Whether it's pursuing a passion, working toward a career goal, or simply enjoying the peace of solitude, she begins to prioritize her own well-being and happiness. With this understanding, she becomes far more intentional with the people she chooses to spend time with. She no longer feels the pressure to maintain friendships or relationships out of obligation. If someone doesn't align with her values or bring positivity into her life, she is no longer afraid to walk away. She doesn't settle for superficial connections or interactions that don't contribute to her growth. Instead, she seeks relationships that are meaningful, nurturing, and fulfilling. This intentionality extends to every aspect of her life. She becomes more discerning with how she spends her free time. If she's not learning, growing, or enjoying herself, she questions whether that activity is worth her time. She doesn't fall into the trap of doing things simply because others expect it, or out of fear of being judged. If something doesn't serve her growth or happiness, she lets it go without regret. She understands that her time is precious, and she has the power to decide how it is spent. When it comes to relationships, a woman who lives alone is particularly careful about who she allows to take up space in her life. She understands that she doesn't need to be in a relationship to feel fulfilled, and she certainly doesn't need to be with someone who doesn't appreciate her worth. She learns to set clear boundaries, and she stands firm in her decisions. Whether it's family, friends, or romantic partners, she knows what she will and won't tolerate. She doesn't settle for relationships that are toxic, one-sided, or unbalanced. Instead, she fosters deep, meaningful connections with those who respect her space, her dreams, and her peace. Furthermore, she also becomes more skilled at nurturing relationships that are important to her. She understands that time is a valuable commodity, and she invests it in people who support and uplift her. These relationships are built on mutual respect. She doesn't just spend time with others. She chooses to spend it with those who enhance her happiness and contribute to her growth. Ultimately, a woman who lives alone recognizes that her time is one of her most valuable assets, and she guards it fiercely. She is no longer willing to give it away to people, places, or activities that don't add value to her life. In doing so, she creates a life that is rich in experiences, meaningful relationships, and personal fulfillment. She understands that time is something she can never get back, and she makes every moment count.